What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Unarmored Talk Podcast. I am your host, Mario P. Fields, for your first time listeners or viewers, and for you all that's returning again. Maybe some of you have been with me since 2020. I want to say thank you for your long time support. And we have another guest that's willing to remove their armor to have a discussion on the show today. He is Michael, aka Mike Waskewich Jr. He is a veteran United States Army. He did about 75 years in the United States Army. He did about 23 and some change. Retired sergeant major, so it's pretty cool to, two fellow retired sergeant majors to kind of virtually have a cup of discussions and cup of conversations today. What's up, Mike? How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm still shrinking. You guys know the deal. I think in 2025 I might go down to 5'1". But before we have a wonderful discussion on Mike and what he's doing. Again, he's the co-founder of the Bar Book mobile app. Did I get that right?
You did, yeah.
Yeah. I actually downloaded it, everyone. It is cool. So we'll, especially for you beverage aficionados, whatever it's wine, bourbon, or a mix of both. We'll go behind the scenes on how did Mike come up with this concept. But before that, thank you all again. Every episode, I'm going to thank you for your support, because anytime you go on that YouTube channel, you watch a video, you share it, or you download an audio, it is all for charity. So it's all monetized. And I donate every penny to my nonprofit, Still Serving Incorporated. If you want to learn more about this amazing nonprofit, going on 7 years next year, go to www.stillservinginc.com and check it out. Mike, can you do me a favor and tell the listeners and viewers a little bit about you?
Yeah. Hey, Mario. So thanks for having me on. Appreciate everything you're doing with Still Serving. Yeah. Congrats on 7 years, man. That's, again, amazing. As somebody doing the same kind of stuff in the business, I can tell you how hard it is to get to 7 years, and that's awesome, man. So good for you. Yeah, man. So I retired out of the military and started up with this concept to do the Bar Book. Basically building what Spotify does for music, we're doing that for alcohol, helping you find your next favorite cocktail, your beer, your spirits, whatever, all through our flavor matching technology. Yeah, that's kind of the gist of what we do, and how we're building it.
And I've downloaded the app, when you and I first met about a month ago, and it is amazing. And everyone, by the way, if you're watching or listening to this episode, the links will be in the show notes, and how you can go on your mobile device and download the app. What inspired you? What happened that made you? And who's the other co-founder?
So my wife Dolly and I put this thing together. So as I'm retired from the military, Dolly and I are dating, and I'm getting ready to come back to DC. I was finishing up my time in El Paso out there at the Sergeant's Major Academy. And I had spent a lot of time with guys that had introduced me to different spirits, bourbons, whiskeys, tequilas, whatever. And I didn't know how to keep track of all of it. And I was looking for a way to not only keep track, but when I'm not with those guys, I needed to know kind of a way to find what was next. And I found some apps online that I could rate and review and record and just kind of keep my own notes, but nothing that helped me learn the next step, right? That suggested something for me. So I talked to Dolly quite a bit, and we were like, there's got to be a way. Somebody's done this before, right? We can't be the ones that came up with this idea. Right. So we searched the internet, searched the different app stores, couldn't find anything. Through conversations with friends and family, the next thing you know, I'm drawing wire diagrams and putting pieces together and contacting a developer to build this app. And then once you start going, you just keep running, right? You know how it is. You just start moving. Dolly was a little different in her story. She's also retired military, but she has a more refined palate. So when we talk about spirits or beer or cocktails or whatever, she can tell you nuanced flavors, right? She can pick out the little details in it and be like, oh, this has a little bit of orange or a little bit of lavender or whatever. I have no idea what those things taste like. So for like that is not that's not my thing. I can just tell you whether it's good or not for my opinion. And so she could pick all that out and we'd have conversations and I'm like, yeah, sweetheart, I don't see any of that. But great. I mean, it's all right. So between the
Dolly's
two of
like,
us, we started putting this together.
hey,
Go
Mike,
ahead.
when you say Dolly's like, okay, it tickles my throat about 2 seconds, and you're like, all right, that's good.
Oh, she is. I'm telling you, man. So she could have, in another life, been a wine sommelier or a chef or one of those that like she can pick out all of those things. Yeah, cooking is a trip with her. But you know, I have no idea, and she knows the history of all these things too,
Mm.
which is amazing. So we start talking about different wines, and she's like, "Oh yeah, well that one came from this region, and it was made by these people, and did this," and I'm okay, it's too much for me. I it's just so she is definitely the one of the creative directional arrows for us. She helps, guide our brand as we're putting this together.
I
But
love it, and I salute.
yeah,
Next time you talk to your lovely bride, tell her thanks for her service as well.
I will.
And I love the teamwork, the collaboration where areas where you're strong in, of course you bring that side and then she brings that kind of that unique let's describe what it tastes like. And I love the feedback on the app. There's like you said, there's a lot of times where I can't remember what this Shiraz may taste like or this type of bourbon that's 94 proof.
Sure.
When I was on your app, I love how people are putting feedback and reviews, and so how much has your own app changed your life when it comes to when you are selecting some type of beverage?
So from the beverage side of the house, it's pretty interesting. I've learned to experiment outside of my comfort zone quite a bit. And I've learned to try things that maybe, yeah, like you said, outside of my comfort zone. I would never have. I was never a tequila guy, not even in my wheelhouse. But as we've played around and learned some of the different flavors and meeting some of the people involved in these different businesses, it's been fantastic. And now I'm learning that, you know what, there's similarities in different types of spirits. You age it in a barrel and it comes out a different way, but there's connections through flavors. And so I've learned a lot. I would say the biggest life change for us has been the connections and the networks and the people.
Mm,
When we got into this business, we were not alcohol people. So we were not from the business, not from the industry. We're military people. So we knew other vets and other people. The alcohol industry, one, it's very veteran influence. There's tons of veterans in the
mm,
alcohol industry, distillery owners, brewery owners, executives, whatever. There's tons of veterans in there. And I've had the fortune of meeting so many and serving with some of them. When we walked into these different rooms and we talked to these people, the welcoming was very similar to the military, which made this a very easy business to transition into. Um, yes, we were taking a different approach because we're not necessarily making a spirit, but we were still in the same industry. So I could walk into a distillery or brewery and just have a conversation, and it's like talking with family. And it's like walking into one of your old units or whatever, and just talking to your former soldiers that have now grown up and done their own thing. And it's that like we didn't miss a beat, and some of them I just met for the first time. So that was really cool. That's probably the coolest thing about this, and the biggest life change about this was just meeting new people and growing our connections. It's been awesome.
and Mike, I applaud you. I mean, that takes some courage to go into an industry where you have no clue. You may have some transferable soft skills, but you're going, I have I know how to drink, but I don't understand
Right.
the business side of it.
But and so one of the things I think I learned, and I'm sure you do too in the military, especially coming up through the enlisted ranks, is if you didn't know, you were always taught you got to go find the answer, go ask somebody and learn and do your research and come back with it. And that really kind of helped. If I didn't know, I had no problem walking into some of these people going, hey, I don't know what I'm doing with this. I know what I want to do and I know how I want to get there. and I've got the drive and the direction, but there are little pieces that I don't know along the way because I don't know this business as well. And you'd be surprised how many video calls I've had with industry leaders that have just been like, yeah, let's chat. I'd love to talk about your idea. Let's talk about what you're doing. It's fantastic. Here's some things you might want to know about the industry that will help you. And it's amazing just the people that would do that and just take an hour out of their day and be like, yeah, I'm a big time exec over here, but I'll talk to you for an hour and tell you about, some key things you need to know for the industry. Like, that's awesome.
And cost you nothing, right? They're just ready to
Yeah,
help. That is
absolutely. Cost you nothing. And, from either business leaders or whatever. I mean, being a veteran, you can reach out to other veterans pretty simply, and they will help you and bend over backwards. It's one of the things that I've learned a lot. I mean, we are a tight community in and out of uniform.
yeah.
Um, that's been amazing. But even just other people in this industry have also been the same way, veteran or not. They've also just bent over backwards, like, yeah, what can I help you with? What can I talk to you about? Because when you succeed, we all do. I haven't met one yet. I'm sure there's somebody out there, but I haven't met one yet who's like, I'm your competition. I want nothing to do with you. Yeah, I haven't met them.
My belief is you won't. That's just like you said. It's a family industry. I mean, I am a bourbon aficionado, but I have explored in the wine, and my wife's got me going in the tequila pathway. But what would you say has been your number one challenge? I mean, I know you've had lots of challenges, but if you had to pick one at this moment, what would it be, and how did you overcome it, man?
So I think my number one challenge, and I don't know if I've all the way overcome it yet, but I'm learning. I would say right off the bat was okay, you walk out of uniform, you're a sergeant major, you've got that beat into you, you've got that mentality. You're used to being able to look at a room full of people or an individual and say, I need this done. And they've thought through what you said, what the next 2 or 3 steps are, and they accomplish it fast
Mm.
and they just do it. Simple instructions, they execute, move on, and they've anticipated your next move. When I walked into my first business piece with this and my first development company, uh, great company, great thing, but I had to learn. So I gave them a wire diagram that I drew out, and I literally would put notes in the margins that would say, like, hey, I want you to put this language on this slide, on this page, or whatever. And the first edition of this, when I opened it up, had those notes on the page. It would say, I want you to put these notes on. And I was like, oh my God, guys. Hey. And then if I told them to do it on one page, even though there were 10 others that were just like it, they only did the one. They didn't do the other 9 because they were like, well, he didn't say. He only wanted this one. I'm like, okay. So I had to learn how to be much more literal, much more
Mhm.
direct. And there is no such thing as an anticipated command or anything that follows through with this, right? There is, there is what you told me to do and what you wrote down on the paper, and that's what I do.
Mike, I'm glad you brought that because a lot of a lot of folks that I've encountered that never served, they were like, oh, we thought everything was laid out for you, or you kind of, the military's kind of robotic. I'm like, it's the opposite of that. You got to be innovative,
Yes.
leverage ingenuity, and so, man, that's why. Well, I will talk to you all day because even as I'm hosting you on the show, I'm thinking about a good bourbon right now. It's just two fingers with some rocks. I'm
That's
getting
right.
older now, so I got to stay away from the neat. But if you had to give one piece of advice to listeners and viewers who may have that vision, maybe something that they want to do in the alcohol industry, what would you give that person?
So in the alcohol industry, I would tell them jump, do your research, reach out to people. Don't be scared, jump. It's scary as long as you think it's scary. But once you get out there and start meeting the people, whether it's I want to start a brewery, I want to start a distillery, do your research, do your homework. All the things that got you to this point will help you in the next step. But the community's there and they will support you and they will help you and they will guide you and they're honest with you. They'll tell you that's horrible. I wouldn't do it that way. Or hey, maybe you should shift it a little bit this way. I like what you're doing. It's collaborative. It's a family. And I would tell you to jump. And I would tell you with that, with any plan that you want to take, whether it's starting a business, moving on in life, whatever that, you're transitioning from one to the next, jump, go. Um, indecision is a decision. So make one.
I like that. Everyone, you guys hear from retired Sergeant Major. You went from active duty to setting conditions for success for those soldiers. And now he is in the non-Department of Defense sector, private sector, still serving, still doing the same through digital virtual space. Get on that mobile app, download that app. How else can folks find you, Mike?
Yeah, go to the barbook.app on the web and Google the Barbook and you'll find us.
Man, thank you so much to you and Dolly. Again, I'm gonna continue to use the app. If you ever need anything, let me know, and I will start putting my reviews as I continue to increase my travels in 2025, my friend. Thank you.
Hey, Mario, I appreciate you. Have a great day, and thanks so much.
You too, and go Navy. Beat Army.
I hear
I'll see
it.
you. Well, everyone, again, another amazing episode. And deal. I'll see you guys in a couple of weeks, or you can hear me if you don't watch the videos on YouTube, so you can hear me. But until then, I will continue to pray that may God bless you, the listeners and viewers. May God continue to bless your family and friends and all living beings around you. Take care. See you later, Mike.
All right, see you later, Mario.
All right, let me pause.